Welcome back in for another week of Fox 54's The Blitz. I'm your morning anchor, Jackson Rowland.
And I'm your news producer, David Huaki.
Each week we break down all the NFL action coming up right here on Fox 54.
Plus the matchups for your Atlanta Falcons and Carolina Panthers. Let's get started.
All right, Dave, we'll start with our game of the week right here on Fox 54. It's a rematch. It's Giants-Eagles. Last time, Giants won in an upset. What do you think about this time?
Absolutely. It was a big upset for them. Jackson Dart came out, looked like a star. Cam Scatterbo, 3 touchdowns. It was a phenomenal game. Defense showed up, didn't give up any points in that second half. I don't know if we're going to see the same thing here. The game is in Philadelphia. The Eagles are coming off a big win against the Minnesota Vikings. A.J. Brown over 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. Devontae Smith over 180 yards and a touchdown. I think they might have gotten back into a groove.
Yeah, now you mentioned A.J. Brown. He's rumored to be questionable coming up this weekend with nursing a little bit of an injury. That's going to be a big factor for them. He's been a primary target. Now, the surprise for the Giants wasn't necessarily Jackson Dart and Scatterbo. We knew both of them were lethal offensively. We didn't know how they pair together in that scheme, but the defense is what surprised me, David. You said not allowing a point in that second half. That is what won them the game. Can they upset the Eagles again? I don't know, but I think this divisional matchup is a close one.
Yes, you're absolutely. It could be. My only thing is going off last week where that Giants defense gave up 33 fourth quarter points. They had a 19-0 lead going into that fourth and then just absolutely blew it. And then you have a question with the kicker. Graham Gano is practiced this week. Sure. He's coming off IR, but he's always tends to get hurt. And they've already gotten rid of their kicker last week who missed 2 extra points and essentially cost them the game.
Yeah, you look at this Eagles coaching staff, the way they historically adjusted in the past few seasons. When rematching teams, they tend to fare very well. I think it's the second matchup. I think Eagles perform well. I don't think we see the same Eagles we saw playing the Giants like last time, but I think Giants keep it within a touchdown.
I'm hoping you're right there, but I'm going to say probably the Eagles at home blow this one out of the water. Saquon probably goes for 120 yards and 2 touchdowns. All right, Jackson, now here to the 2-state, starting off in Georgia. We have the Atlanta Falcons back at home after a Sunday night loss to the 49ers, but they're welcoming the Miami Dolphins, who are 1-6. How are you feeling about this game?
I'm actually feeling pretty good welcoming Miami back at the Benz. We have just played better at home all season long. There's been a clear home field advantage, and the Dolphins are struggling right now. Coming in, they don't have Tyreek Hill. Tua last week having all kinds of problems offensively with turnovers, and I like the way our defense is looking after that big win we picked up against the Bills just a few weeks ago. I like the way we're trending, and I think we play well at home. I think the offense is the biggest question right now.
Yeah, I can see that. And it's kind of like what we talked about last week. We said if the 49ers are able to take Drake London out of the game, then it becomes okay, who's going to step up next? And they didn't do too bad. Bijan Robinson still had a great game, but then that next guy was not stepping up. And I think that's what the Falcons need. They need one guy to step up to be able to keep propelling themselves towards the season.
Yeah, Bijan's carrying a lot of the load as Algier is out right now with the injury, and he's handled that pretty well. I mean, we knew he was a star back coming into the season. He has proven that time and time again. You can just go back and look at the stats if you don't believe me. But the quarterback situation seems to be questionable. Some have rumored to say that Kirk Cousins will return this Sunday. I don't know if that's true. I don't know that Penix has fallen off that much in the past few weeks. You know, the only reason Kirk stepped up last time was due to a possible injury with Penix. So I think Penix probably starts this game, but there's some rumors that Cousins could.
Yeah, I did see that. And if I were the Falcons, I'm still going with Penix. He's looked good for the majority of the games, and especially at home, he's looked good every single game he's played. Even the Bucs game that they did end up losing, but it was close at the end, where it was a kicking situation, like we just talked about with the Giants.
Yeah.
I don't think you guys are going to have that problem, at least this week at home against the Dolphins. So if I'm you guys, I'm going out there with Penix, your young core group, and trying to fight this one out at home.
Yeah, I think the Dolphins have really struggled offensively. I mean, just not finding ways to put points up on the board. You got a 1-6 team. It's just one of those seasons for them. But any given Sunday, we say it all the time. But I like the Falcons at home handling this one pretty easily in the Benz. All right, David, now we're going to hop across the state line talking about our Carolina Panthers with a big matchup at home against the Buffalo Bills, who luckily had a bye week last week after a tough 2-loss game streak.
Yeah, there's definitely big losses on their end. Bye week might be doing them good. They are going into a hot Carolina home where they're on a 3-game win streak. But the key thing with them is they are going to be missing Bryce Young this
That's
week.
the news of the day for them.
And that might be big for them. He's been actually leading them to some of these wins. And luckily last week, the defense came up big, only gave up 6 points to the Jets. So even though he did go out in that fourth, they didn't miss him too much because that defense just kept him on pace.
Right, yeah, it was the defense that really stepped up last week. Now you have Andy Dalton, who comes in and steps up for the Panthers, a veteran at that. But, Young was really trending in the right direction. He was seeming to figure things out, starting to limit some turnovers and perform well with this offense. Chuba Hubbard was stepping up. The run game was going. So this is a really big momentum blow for them, having to bring in Dalton. Now, he could prove us wrong. We've seen a few backup quarterback situations go well for teams. And you've got to hope Dalton comes in with some veteran leadership and is able to handle a tough Bills team well.
Yeah, and I think they're going to have to rely heavily on that run game, which is going to be Chuba Hubbard and Rico Dowdle, which, I mean, that's a two-headed monster that, as a defense, I wouldn't want to face.
Dowdle outperforming expectations.
Yeah, 100%. That was a great signing by them from the Cowboys. But regardless, that's a two-headed monster you don't want to face. And that kind of opens up the passing game. We've seen McMillan come out, Xavier Legette also as well, started to rebuild himself after that injury. So there's some promise there.
Yeah, you talk about a Bills team who just looked completely unlike themselves in that 2-game losing streak that they're coming off of. You got to hope this bye week resets them. Defensively, they just were in shambles for a couple weeks. It was just a completely different team than what we saw opening up the year. But Josh Allen, this offense, I don't see them continuing to struggle. They seem to pair well against this Panthers defense, and so I think they're going to have a solid game. It's going to be close for Carolina. Well, thanks for tuning in to another week of Fox 54's The Blitz, where we preview all your NFL action before this Sunday.
And we also preview your Atlanta Falcons and Carolina Panthers matchups for the week. I've been your news producer, David Hawkey.
And I'm morning anchor Jackson Rowland. We'll see you next week on The Blitz.